everyone, it's Misty, and I'm so excited about this week's project and our special guest, so be sure to stick around. Hi guys, like I mentioned, I have a special guest with me today. This is Charisma Horton.
Hi, Misty. Hi. I'm so glad you had me here today.
I'm so glad to have you. It's so fun to actually have you here in studio with me. I haven't been able to do that because of all the fun things going on in the world. So to have you here in person is really great.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm like beyond excited and excited to share this project with you and just have a great time sewing together today.
Yeah, me too. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself. You are like an incredible pattern designer. She has like more patterns than, I don't even know, do you ever sleep?
Sometimes.
Not often, sometimes. I bet. Yeah. Those creative minds never turn off. I know that
right.
from my personal experience.
Yeah. So I have been a long arm quilter for about 12 years, and in December of 2018 I took the leap into pattern design, and now I have been picked up in about, at this time, 75 magazines, and I've published over 300 patterns, and I'm just working.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. Amazing. So today's pattern that Charisma has brought to share with you guys is the one that you see hanging behind us. This is called Pinnovations, and if you pick up the pattern that Charisma wrote, you can get it from us here at Missouri Star Quilt Company, and it actually comes in 2 sizes. It gives you the instructions for both sizes on the pattern. We're going to make the crib size today, which is what you see behind us, and this is fat quarter friendly. We've been getting lots of requests for fat quarter quilts, yes. So we hear you, and I think you're going to love this one because it's still really straightforward yes. and simple. So
yes.
Yeah, let's dive into it.
Okay, great. Okay, so we need our background fabric, and in this case we used Windsor, a Kona Cotton, yes. which is like a navy blue kind of color.
Yeah.
Yes. And then we also need our fat quarters, which is just a variety of fat quarters. And in this case we used...
This is called Melon Ball, also from Kona. It's these beautiful pinks and oranges. I love it.
I love it. Warm, sunny
yes.
colors. Yes. So that's what we started with. And so you'll want to cut your background strips. And then the hardest thing about this is the half square triangle, and so I have those, and I have it marked here. I have my line, and we're just going to sew on either side of that line for our first unit.
So she's just drawn a line corner to corner, and we're sewing a 1/4 inch away from each side.
And now we're just going to flip that around and do the other side.
All right. She's getting used to my speedy machine.
Okay, we'll clip all those threads. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Go ahead.
Okay, then I'll just cut
that
in half.
And cut that. Yeah.
Okay.
And so while you're doing that, I'll just sort of lay out some of the pieces that we have in order here.
Because all of your background strips that you cut and then you get these pieces from, they're all 3.5, is that right?
Yes, 3.5.
Okay.
So well, we have 3.5, and then we have 3.5 by 6.5. Yes.
Okay, so you're just going to subcut with the fabric strips
yep.
into that. That's awesome. And do you want me to go ahead and press these open?
Yes, please.
Okay. You got it. It's so much fun having a quilting buddy.
I love sewing with my friends.
Me too. All right, we've got those ready.
Okay, and so now we have our 2 half square triangles, and we'll put those in here. And now we need to make another unit, and we're going to do stitch and flip. And so what we have is we have this kind of cream color here, and we have 1 unit done here. We need 2 of these units, and the trick to this is to make sure that all of the angles are going in this specific direction. So if we start with our 3.5 inch square, we need to mark that. Can you mark that on the diagonal for me?
Yep. Just corner to corner, and I'm just using a regular pin here because it's just our stitch line. There we go.
Okay. And to test that, just to make sure that it's going in the right direction, I just sort of lay it, and then I'll fold it to say, okay,
is this going to match?
I have that right. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and sew on that line, and you want to sew directly on that line. Unlike when we did with the half square triangles, we went on each 1/4 inch on each side of the line. This time we're sewing directly on the line that we marked.
And this is a 3.5 inch square on a
3.5 inch by 6.5 inch piece of fabric.
So it's the same size as these background
Yep.
rectangles. Perfect.
Okay, and now we just need to cut 1/4 inch. So if you could do that to,
You
and then
betcha.
press that.
There we go. Oops, I missed this little corner. There we go. And then we'll roll that back.
Stitch and flip is one of my favorite ways to get all of those angles.
Yeah.
So I get all these fun little prints or patterns from doing that. And so same thing, I'm just gonna lay this on here and I'm just going to fold this up to make sure, okay, yep, it matches the other one. I know that I'm doing this correctly. And I'm just going to sew that line again.
Right on there, corner to corner. Yeah, you're
Like
right.
I get to do all the easy stuff and I get to hand it off to Misty to do all of the cutting and
great
ironing. Like
teamwork.
I think I need to do this full time.
You can come sew with me anytime, Charisma. I would be happy to have you. Happy to be your wingman, you know? All right, so then we're gonna press that one back as well. And it is ready to go. So this goes in right like so.
Yep. So we have this pinwheel sort of effect, right? So the way this design came about is because I wanted to,
Those have to flip, huh?
oh, they do have to flip, sorry.
No, you're good.
I was trying to modernize a traditional block. So if you look at it, there's a pinwheel, but I modernized that block. And so now we have these these 4 rows. We need one more
More blue.
3.5 inch square. There it is.
Okay.
Okay. So this is a fresh take on a traditional block. And so we have our pinwheel and I've just sort of altered it a little bit. And you can see from the picture that, or from the quilt on the back, that if you sort of twist the orientation, it forms this maybe like little wreath. And I just
love
loved
it.
that movement.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so now we just need to sew our pieces together and this just goes together lickety split.
All right.
So I'll just start with these 2 3.5 inch squares. And we can just go ahead and chain piece these.
Yeah.
Oh, and I just have to clip those off because I'm a long arm quilter by trade.
Yeah.
And you have to do that because, but then,
Now you gotta
then I
make sure.
run the risk of,
Having it go the wrong
Okay,
way. Yep,
yes.
always double check.
Yes.
Always got to double check. I love that. So when you make these blocks though, they're all laid out the exact same way in this
Yes.
orientation we did, and then you're just twisting them in the layout and you get all of this movement and variation,
Yes.
which is so, so cool. Man, this is the easiest. I got the easiest job. I just get to watch you sew now.
yep. And I like the speed on this thing. So, okay, here we go.
Takes a little getting used to.
Oops.
Do you ever keep your threads together and use them like pins? I guess it wouldn't work because the
Oh.
blocks aren't the same size in this instance.
I didn't actually ever know how to do that. I saw somebody in a class do that one time, and then I was like, what are you doing?
is
What kind
happening?"
of magic are you creating right there? So,
Jenny does that a lot, and I always look for it now. But so then this one flips.
yeah.
There we go.
Okay, and now we're just going to do the same thing. We'll just chain piece those again.
I love how this comes together.
And it's really 2 halves. So if you remember that as well. So if you just wanted to go ahead and start pressing these, and
Okay.
then we can
Sew
start
them
sewing
together.
the halves
Yeah.
together.
You bet. Now, do you press any special way?
Well, as a long arm quilter, I like to press to the dark if I can.
Okay, that's what I do too. I always try and put my seams on the dark side. All right, those two are ready for you.
Okay.
I'll press these.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
That's right, it sure makes it go fast.
Okay, and just to make sure, I just want to make sure that these two little seams nestle, and if I have to put a little pin, then I'll do that just to make sure that I get those to line up. Oops.
Okay, here's that one.
All right. I had to kind of fudge that one a little bit. Okay. Let's see if those nestle in together. Okay.
If you're happy with it.
Oh, yeah,
they look
that's
great.
perfect. Okay.
Awesome.
Okay, if you want to press that one,
Yep, of course.
I'll clip a thread.
I feel like this would be an addicting block.
Well, and because it's fat quarters,
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't have fat quarters in their stash?
Exactly. I know I'm thinking I have some really pretty fat quarters at home. I just might have to make a few. And this would make like a fun accent pillow for the middle of your bed with four of these
yeah.
blocks together. That would look so cool.
Yes. It's me, not the machine.
No, it just takes some getting used
There you
to. Oh, that's awesome. All right. We'll press that. We have our finished block here, ready to go.
Pinnovations.
So cute. So there they are. There is our finished block. So let's go ahead and take a look at the quilt behind us, and we can see how these set in. Okay, so here's our block, and let me just show you how this fits in. So just like so. There's one, and then it's the same block.
Yep, you just flip it each time. So these two are going to be the same orientation, and then these two are going to be the same orientation. So when I sewed it, I sewed in groups of 4 just to make sure that that circle was right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just that easy. So such a beautiful quilt. This one measures, I believe, 48 by 48. Is that correct?
Yep, and the other size is 72 by 96.
And so remember, you could get both of those in the pattern, so be sure to stick around and we'll learn even more about Charisma. All right, so thanks again, Charisma, for being here. I just really appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's been so fun to meet you in real life. I've been following along on Instagram, and I love seeing what you share. So you mentioned that you got started as a long arm quilter. So were you a quilter already? How did you make the jump into long arm quilting?
Well, actually, it all is sort of this divine thing, right? So I worked just part-time at a quilt shop to pay for my hobby like a lot of people do.
Sure.
And they sold long arms, and they had to repossess a machine. I asked if I could take over the payments on that machine, and they said only if you quilt for our customers.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, but I've never quilted for anybody. and that's really how it started. And then 2 weeks later, I just put a little thing on my blog saying I'm going to quilt for our customers. Within 2 weeks, I had 60 quilts from all over the country.
Oh my gosh.
And 12 years later, I've had a booming business ever since.
That's
So
amazing.
Now I have 3 long arms, and I have a pattern business, and it all those little stepping stones.
So are you just like a one-woman show, or do you have a team that helps you, or how does it work?
A team that consists of my husband.
Okay.
And
Hey, that's a great way to start.
yes.
That's the best.
So, yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so where do you live? Tell everybody a little bit more about you.
Well, I live in a little rural community in central Washington. We're actually in the process of moving, but for the last 20 years, we've lived in Ephrata, Washington, which is just a small rural community in the center of Washington State.
Okay.
And I have 6 kids. The last one just left for college in August, so I'm an empty nester, and I have 3 dogs and everything in between that chaotic life.
Wow, I love it. That sounds so fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's great. 6 kids. I had no idea.
Yeah, 6. I know, I'm
You
crazy.
don't look old enough to have 6 kids, especially if they're all out of the house.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. They were all close in age.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
that's awesome. So you started long arm quilting, and then what inspired you to begin designing patterns? Obviously, you were a quilter already. You loved doing it, and it sounds like you just had all these ideas.
Yes, that's exactly it, right? You get into that little groove, and creativity builds on creativity, right? So I really wanted to just design quilts to quilt. I wanted to design patterns to quilt because as a long arm quilter, you really love negative space, and I just wanted to, branch out on that. But then I decided I need to maybe make this a business, and that's sort of how it all kind of snowballed. And I just I got picked up in a magazine, and then I thought maybe this is really a legitimate thing. Maybe I could be a designer, and then everything sort of snowballed. So
Well, and it's amazing how life works that way sometimes. I have a similar story. I never thought I would be here teaching quilting. I've been around quilting my entire life, but I think sometimes we, as creative people, we don't give it enough credit for how much it connects us to others and how much people are looking for these opportunities and these ideas, because we just really want to make cool things.
yes,
Right?
and put good things into the world. Like I love
Exactly.
color, I love everything. I love the community of quilting. So it's just a comfortable space for me.
I agree. I feel the same way. So is there anything else you want people to know? Where can they find you online if they want more charisma in their life?
Charismascorner.com is my website, and you can find me on Instagram as Charisma Horton, and I take a lot of pictures. I'm constantly posting. You'll see several quilts and just be filled with color and landscape and everything else.
I love it. Thank you so much for being here. If you guys want to see more of Charisma, be sure to follow her on her website and on Instagram, and be sure to tune back in here on At Home, because she's going to be back with us in the future. So thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful week.